Wolfpack fans, and welcome to Wolfpack Watch with your Wolfpack voice, Doug Wood. I'm here today with Coach Scott Jones again. And Coach, we've had a couple of items since our last talk. First, the scrimmage against Hiram. How did that go?
Well, we actually came out flat. Our kids. We've been working hard, and those things happen. You go into a game with expectations high, but you got to back it up. And there were signs of life, but our kids, players, coaches, none of us was happy about that. So we learned a lot. We learned a lot about ourselves, and came back to work last week, and the kids took it very, very serious. So did the coaches. Not that we hadn't, but I think that's something that we really needed, and it showed this past Friday.
Did the kids seem to get after it, at least against an opponent during the Hiram game, instead of going against themselves?
Well, we always our number one priority is ourselves. It doesn't matter who we play, we've got to take care of ourselves. And so, Hiram coaching staff, they did a great job, and they've got a good football team. And we went toe to toe, and so did they. And but we learned a lot about ourselves really from that game, and what we need to do to get better. And that's week in and week out, that's what we got to be concerned about. It doesn't matter who we play. If we can limit our mistakes and play to the best at each position, then we're gonna come out on top, and that's our objective.
Well, speaking of limiting mistakes, this past Friday night, North Paulding went on the road to Paulding County for the opening game of the season and took a 27-0 win. What do you take out of that game?
Well, defensively, we were just relentless. Our kids, they were swarming. Very physical contest. Two rivals. Paulding County's got a good football team. They do a good job, and they've got some very talented linemen and skilled players. But our kids went out there, and you could tell that it was a business-like approach, unlike the first week. And offensively, we scored what we needed to. We scored enough points, put it that way. But defensively, they really came to play. All our kids did, but defense really that's what wins championships. And obviously, giving up no points, that answers that.
And speaking of the difference in the two games, you saw a much different attitude with this team last week?
A lot, we came to play, and you could tell all week long that our players were embarrassed, and so were we about the first contest. And not so much, I'm not taking away from Hiram, but we didn't play with, obviously, you can look from the stands and see that we didn't play with that relentless attitude in the first. And we got to do that every week. As soon as we let our guard down, we're going to take one on the chin, and we don't want to do that. So, good thing about the scrimmage was it didn't count, and so we're back where we need to be now, and our kids know the difference in taking that type of mentality to a ball game.
And speaking of that relentless defense, who stood out on defense this week in the Friday night game?
Well, I mean, when the play's over and you got 11 guys in the picture, they all contributed. And I don't want to pick one guy out, because you don't shut a team out and it be one guy. So I think everybody did their part. Starting the second half in that game, we had 4 starters out on defense. And so, guys came in and made plays, and that's what it's about. That's why we practice, and that's why we stay motivated. For our opportunity, we need to take advantage of it. So defensively as a whole, I don't know who the leading tackler was, but they all really played with passion. And, I continue to use that word relentless. That's what we got to bring every week.
Offensive side of the ball, anything stand out there? We scored the 27 points.
Yeah, but, it's a deal where Paulding County's got a good defensive line, and we were concerned going in. They've got some very, very talented players on defense, and we had to bring an extra back in on offense just to give ourselves a little bit more protection in there, and so it was one of those situations where we couldn't really open it up with 4 and 5 wide sometimes against a team like that. So we had to nickel and dime it and mix it up. But we made some mistakes. We've got some cleaning up to do. We had some turnovers and all, but our quarterback threw for almost 200 yards, and we had, Brian Mitchell had a couple of nice touchdown catches, and Lucas Mays really, he had a great game at the running back position, and very elusive and exciting runner. So we're looking for all those, but we got a lot of guys out there, Z and Cox and receivers that are really going to be crucial down the stretch to help us offensively.
All right, and coming up this week here at the Den, we start off the home season against county rival South Paulding. What do we look for in that game?
Well, Coach Coster over there, he's gonna, he does a great job, and he's gonna have those guys ready over here. It is our first home game, and so I don't think we're gonna have to do a whole lot to have our kids biting at the bit to play that. But they'll come over here, they'll spread it around. They like the fast screen, they like to sling it around a little bit. So we're gonna have to play well again defensively, and especially in the secondary, and maybe put some pressure on them like we did Paulding County.
That sounds good. And as far as the injury front, we okay for Friday?
We've got a few banged up players right now, and hopefully we may get one or two of them back. If not, there's no rush. They need to be 100% before they come back. But that's why our backups practice so hard, so they're ready, and maybe there won't be a backup.
That sounds good, Coach. Well, thank you again for joining us. We'll look forward to this week coming up with South Paulding, and then the following week with East Paulding. We'll be back next week with our preview of that game and the recap of this week's game. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Wolfpack Football would like to thank Paulding Building Supply for their support of the 2017 season. Thank you, Paulding Building Supply.